Breaking news! What if I told you that, despite the Ravens' dramatic victory, something is silently unraveling within this team, and it's not being fixed? What if I told you that behind every spectacular play, behind every touchdown, there's a hidden problem threatening to destroy everything this team has worked for? The fans are celebrating the score, but they're not seeing the real danger. Not yet. But before we continue, don't forget to like this post if you're a true Ravens fan. It's always amazing to see fans of all ages supporting this team. And if you want, comment, "Go, Ravens!" Head coach John Harbaugh stood in front of the media at his weekly Monday presser and confirmed what many fans feared. He's not planning to make any changes to the offensive line. That's right. Despite the persistent red zone failures, despite Lamar Jackson being sacked 5 times, 4 of those by Myles Garrett alone, despite the complete lack of push up front in short yardage situations, Harbaugh believes the current starting 5 is good enough. He even said it with confidence. You put the best 5 players out there. It's not even a hard question. But maybe that's exactly the problem. It's too easy to just roll with the same group week after week, even when they're failing. Ravens fans have been yelling it from the rooftops for weeks now. The offensive line is not just a weak link. It's the problem, and it's been the root cause of so many of the Ravens' offensive struggles. The red zone inefficiency is not a new development. It's been haunting this team all season. Drives that start with momentum and rhythm suddenly stall inside the 20. Why? Because they can't get push. Not even with Derrick Henry in the backfield. Not even with Pat Ricard bulldozing ahead. Not even with Lamar Jackson orchestrating. And when you can't move the ball on 3rd and short or 4th and inches, it's not just frustrating, it's embarrassing. They've resorted to trick plays just to convert, like the hurricane play that bailed them out. It worked, yes. But how long can you rely on misdirection and gimmicks to do what should be basic football? What makes it even worse is that the coaching staff acknowledges the problem, then proceeds to do nothing about it. Harbaugh himself admitted that red zone execution and scoring were the issues, not moving the ball, but finishing. Yet when asked directly if he's seen enough improvement from the offensive line to not make changes, he said yes. That's malpractice. Plain and simple. Let's talk about Daniel Falele, a player the Ravens drafted as a tackle, now being used at guard despite the fact that this is his first year ever playing that position. We're talking about a franchise that says it's in win-now mode. Lamar Jackson is in year 7. You have MVP-level talent under center, and yet, you're experimenting with offensive line configurations like it's a preseason scrimmage. That's not development. That's recklessness. The eye test doesn't lie. Fans see it every week. Falele is consistently getting beat, losing balance, drifting into empty space. On some downs, it looks like he's blocking ghosts. The footwork, the leverage, the reaction time, it's all a step behind. And it's not just Falele. Ronnie Stanley was invisible all season, and then against Cleveland, he got exposed again. Tyler Linderbaum has been up and down. Roger Rosengarten got bullied so badly on one play that he was shoved into Lamar's throwing path, causing an interception. And that brings us to Lamar. He's been sacked, hit, and harassed all season. It's not a matter of toughness, it's a matter of survival. From week 1, he's been getting clobbered, and by week 4, he had a hamstring injury. Coincidence? Not even close. And it's affected everything, from the passing game to the run game to his explosiveness. He doesn't look like 2019 Lamar. He doesn't even look like 2021 Lamar. He's still brilliant, but you can see it, the acceleration, the twitch, the shiftiness in open space. It's not there like it used to be. Why? Because he's not being protected. There are fans who are asking, why don't we run the read option anymore? And the answer is simple, Lamar's not fully healthy, and when your offensive line can't hold up, there's no time for slow developing plays. Defensive fronts are in the backfield before the mesh point even happens. Because here's the thing, Ravens fans, if the Ravens truly are in win-now mode, like they've claimed since signing Lamar Jackson to his massive extension, then why are they acting like it's still a rebuilding year? Why are they putting experiments on the offensive line to protect their most valuable asset? Why are we pretending like this line is improving when the eye test and the game film tell us the exact opposite? Let's dive deeper into this ongoing crisis, because that's exactly what it is. Every offensive issue this team is facing stems from the same rotten core, the offensive line. And the ripple effects are massive. Lamar Jackson's stat line from the Browns game? Ugly. 5 sacks, countless pressures. And yet, it goes beyond just the box score. There was a play, a completion to Isaiah Likely, where Lamar got completely leveled. And unless you were watching the All-22, you wouldn't have even seen it. He's taking brutal hits every single week, and it's been happening since week 1. Remember that game against the Bills? Harbaugh admitted Lamar had to take himself out because of cramping. But what caused it? A vicious shot from Ed Oliver that folded Lamar in half. That kind of hit doesn't just happen in isolation. It's the result of a missed assignment, a failed block, a porous line, and this line has been porous all year. We've got a player like Daniel Falale, clearly not ready for the level he's being asked to play at, starting week after week. And then we hear the coaching staff double down. He's improving, they say. He was a big part of the 59-yard Derrick Henry run. Sure, he was. But that one highlight doesn't erase the dozens of plays where he's collapsing the pocket, blowing assignments, or just plain getting beat. He was drafted as a developmental tackle, not a guard. He's learning the position on the fly, while tasked with protecting a franchise quarterback. That's dangerous. But it doesn't stop with Falale. Roger Rosengarten pushed back into Lamar's throwing arm, directly causing an interception. Ronnie Stanley, once a Pro Bowl caliber left tackle, now inconsistent at best. Linderbaum flashes brilliance, but gets overpowered against top-tier talent. And every time it happens, Lamar has to run for his life, or worse, absorb another punishing blow. And let's talk about the run game for a second. Derrick Henry and Keaton Mitchell are supposed to be a thunder and lightning duo, right? But how can they make an impact when there's no space? No push? This is Derrick Henry we're talking about. 3rd and 1 should be automatic. Goal line carries should be guaranteed points. But instead, we're seeing trick plays, misdirections, and fake end-arounds just to move the chains. That's not strategy, that's desperation. Fans are noticing. They're asking, where's the read option? Why isn't Lamar keeping the ball anymore? The answer isn't just play calling. It's fear. Fear that if Lamar runs, he won't get up. Fear that if he gets hit one more time, that knee tightens up again. And then what? Harbaugh claims the Browns were all over the QB run. Maybe so, but when your offensive line can't hold a block for 2 seconds, even a perfectly designed play is doomed from the start. This isn't just a scheme issue, it's an execution issue. And at the core of that execution problem is the same offensive line that Harbaugh refuses to change. And this is where the concern morphs into outright frustration. This isn't new. This isn't a one-week anomaly. This is the same problem that has plagued this team for 11 straight weeks. If something doesn't work for a week or two, okay, maybe it's just growing pains. But when you're staring down a half season of dysfunction and doing nothing to address it, that's a choice. A dangerous, costly choice. Even the fan base, which has long been known as loyal and patient, is starting to break. They're calling for personnel changes. They're calling for coaching accountability. They're seeing the writing on the wall, and it's not looking good. They see the playoffs approaching and know deep down, this offensive line will be the downfall if nothing is done. Let's not forget, this isn't a random rebuild year. This is supposed to be the year. The Super Bowl window is open, the AFC is wide. And yet, the Ravens are risking it all, not because of injuries, not because of talent, but because of stubbornness, because of a refusal to make the obvious changes. What message does that send to the rest of the locker room? To Lamar Jackson? To the defense, which has fought tooth and nail to keep this team in games? What happens when it's January, and a crucial playoff game comes down to one possession, and once again, the offensive line crumbles? Ravens fans, it's time to ask the tough question. Do you trust this coaching staff to make the right call before it's too late? If you're still watching, drop a like to support the channel, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep Ravens content. There's another video on the screen right now. Click it if you want to dive deeper into Lamar's performance this season. Thanks for watching.